Are we ready? Very good. Dear students, I am for the first time addressing you through our live channel that Gedas has been working very hard to set up. This is a first positive consequence of the crisis that we all find ourselves in today. So please bear with me if I have to get a little bit used to this new way of communicating with the students, considering the extraordinary situation we are in. In fact, you see my face in beautiful sunlight that is now through the blue sky without pollution, because there are not many airplanes flying, there are not many factories, or probably less factories, running at this point. And I hope to use this opportunity in the coming weeks to update you on further developments at the ITI as we go about trying to deal with this unprecedented crisis that we find ourselves in Europe and in many parts of the world today. And as I study more and more everything that is happening and all the research that is coming out, it becomes also much clearer to me how serious the risks are that we are dealing with. So what I would like to do today is, following on the email that I sent earlier on, I would like to give you an opportunity to hear more background on that and what was the reason we took this decision. And then there will also be the possibility for you to send in questions. You have received instructions for that, and I will try to answer these questions as we go along this first live streaming of a video. Let me start first with once more briefly explaining to you what happened this morning. And this was a surprise to many of us, although I obviously keep a very close watch on the news. When I started getting messages this morning and reading messages about the laws that had been passed by the Austrian Parliament this morning, I was taken aback for a moment, and so we immediately held a conference call with the ITI leadership to discuss how we are going to respond to this situation. And gradually during the day it has been made clear, and additional measures were announced that made very clear how draconic these laws are, and also what the consequences will be for our daily lives. For example, as you were able to read, there will be, as of tomorrow afternoon, you are no longer allowed to assemble with more than 5 people. The exact details, what that means, obviously nobody will and can tell you. If you have a large family like myself, that you cannot assemble with more than 5 people, that obviously is not going to happen. So it doesn't count obviously for the private household, but it counts for public or semi-public spaces, and universities would also certainly be part of that. Now the exact interpretation will be quite a challenge for many of us, but it shows a little bit the direction in which this is moving. And then later today it even went further, and we were being told that even going for a walk in the woods is something that you should that we are not forbidden to do, but we are discouraged from doing that, and if we do it, we can only do it with our family members, so those with whom we live in one household. And again, there we are being asked to limit that to the absolute minimum, so to say. You have already read what the 3 restrictions furthermore are. We're in principle being asked to stay indoors and only to go out if we need to go grocery shopping, or if we need to go to the doctor, or if we need to go and help somebody who is in need, or finally if we have to go to work and it is really absolutely strictly necessary to go to work. And this is also the reason why I have today instructed all the personnel at the ITI to, as much as possible, do home office and to work from home. But do not worry, we will make sure that there is always a minimally required presence here at the ITI. but also you will see that for this reason we're also going to be putting to a minimum the administration in the physical sense, but obviously we're all available for you by phone and by email. Here are some points as to the measures that we're taking today. Now, let me explain to you, because I think that is the most urgent thing at this point. You have seen the decision that I had to take today after consulting with the Grand Chancellor, Cardinal Schönborn, and also with the Dean and the other colleagues in the faculty and administration. We have come to the conclusion that because of the escalating situation, we have to request you to return home to your families. You might remember that during our meeting last Tuesday in the Riley Hall, we strongly suggested you go home. But we did not go as far yet as we are going today, is that we are actually asking you to go home. And the three reasons, I would like to repeat them and then maybe say a few more words about it so that you understand the whole context. The first one, and this was also a word of the Holy Father, Pope Francis, in recent days, in times of such great crisis, such deep crisis that we find ourselves in today, it is absolutely very important and necessary that we are with our families and that we return to our families. Our families need us and we need our families. And I would like to go even further in that, and I've seen that during the past 2 days. Our parishes need us very much, because these draconian laws and these draconian measures also mean that, for example, throughout Austria, there will no longer be masses celebrated where the faithful can actually attend. And of course, this is a very harsh measure that many of us really struggle with, including myself. And therefore, I saw that the past 2 days that our presence in our parishes is so important, because we have to support our parish priests in offering alternatives to people that are in accordance with these restrictions. So for example, I'll give you an example, inspired by this wonderful video that went viral of this priest in Italy that has been going through his village with the Blessed Sacrament. Inspired by that video, I went to our parish priest in Baden and I said, well, why don't we do the same? And he was very happy with that idea. So we're going to be actually going with the Blessed Sacrament through Baden in the coming weeks. And he's going to make a plan in which certain sections of Baden will be visited by the Blessed Sacrament that will be brought by him and one person assisting him. And we have also spoken about other possibilities. For example, in our church in Baden, there's going to be the exposition of the Blessed Sacrament throughout the day, because the churches will remain open. And many such initiatives can be taken in which nobody is endangered, but at the same time which allows the priests and those assisting them to make sure that the faithful are not being abandoned, because many of the faithful do feel abandoned at this point. And I think this is once again one of these times in the history of the Church that we as the Catholic laity have a real role to play in assisting, especially in our parishes, to find ways in which we can really bring Christ and bring the gospel to those in our parishes. So there's a lot you can do. So as to the first reason why we're asking you to go home, it's not only because you have to be with your families and your families need you and you need your families, but your parishes and your communities also need you. And there's a lot you can do, especially as students at the ITI, bringing all that you have received here, bringing that into your communities back home. The second reason, and that's a reason that has become very clear to me during the past 24 hours as I've been studying reports of medical experts about the way in which this virus spreads. It has become very clear that places that are close quarters and close-knit, like is the case at the ITI campus, the risks are very high there when one or two people have the virus and probably don't even realize it until it's too late and then have already infected many people around them, and then you will have an explosion of the virus, and that then leads to a so-called red zone that we see on much larger scale, of course, in places like Italy. In fact, I was earlier today reading a report of one medical worker in a hospital here in Austria infecting 100 people before anybody ever found out, and then obviously it was already too late for those 100 people. Thanks be to God, the virus only affects, well, still a lot, but 19% of patients more seriously, 81% only have mild symptoms, but as it happens, those 19% are mostly older people above 60 years of age. And the great concern in all those countries is that the hospital bed capacity will soon run out, because all these people, or many of them, would need breathing aid. And images have already been coming out of horrendous situations in Italian hospitals where that is happening. So what we're really doing here, those of especially the young people, I hope I may still consider myself young, as I'm still below 50, we, by any measure we take, are actually protecting the older generation. And that's the way we should be looking at it. So even though the virus has not spread that much yet in Austria, although it is spreading fast, there are other countries where it's much worse, every measure we currently take is actually protecting older people and protecting anybody around us. It's clear. So we're really taking precautionary measures here. So the second reason is my real concern, based on evidence that is coming out, that as a close-knit and close-quartered community, the ITI could quickly become such a red zone of an outbreak. And we have to protect you, you have to protect yourselves, and therefore it is important that you return home and that fewer people remain on the ITI campus. In fact, as few people as possible. Obviously, the families who live there, whose home here in Austria, will stay there. So it's also for their protection that we, so to say, have to spread. The third reason, and obviously that is something that you are all very eagerly awaiting more information about, is the fact how we're going to deal with this semester. And in the past days, we have been working very hard on a so-called Plan A and a Plan B. A Plan A is that we have already asked all our professors to provide information on how they can continue doing their courses during the next 3 weeks, be it through the way I am speaking to you right now, or be it through extra reading assignments, and obviously what we had already announced, paper assignments, so that we are going to be rolling out in the next days. It's quite a challenge for us, it's something new, and once again I'm grateful for those students and professors who've come forward with ideas that we're all looking into and all putting into a comprehensive plan. And the Plan A is that those 3 weeks will be filled with such assignments and classes and etc. And then if all goes well and we can all return to campus by April 20th, then normal classes will resume and would be organized in such a way, and that is really our aim now, that the semester could still end on June the 6th. And that would, for example, then happen, to give you an example, that we would also need to have classes on Fridays and on Saturdays. This is all still in the works, but to be very honest with you, I do expect that it might not happen at all, that you will be able to return by April 20th. Of course, I cannot look into the future, but I think the situation will require probably that the authorities prolong this time of closure. So we have to, of course, be prepared for that as well. So our Plan B is to finish the semester without the physical presence of the students, whilst continuing the program that we have built up for those next 3 weeks, continuing that throughout the end of the semester. So that even those who cannot return, because that's also a possibility, that some may be able to return but others not, we want to give everybody the opportunity to return to finish the semester, even if they cannot return physically to the ITI for whatever reasons. You already see it yourself. Different countries are having a different approach, and I can really understand if many of you return to your families and your family say, sorry, your parents say, sorry, we don't want you to go back to Austria. It's too dangerous, or we want to have you close. That's the sort of crisis situation we are all finding ourselves in, so we have to completely adapt to that. So our plan B is that we, so to say, extend the initial 3 to 5 week period of, so to say, distance learning, that we extend that throughout the whole semester. And once again, please bear with me. We are currently, as we speak, working out the details, and you should have them in the next couple of weeks. And that system would be so flexible that if it appears that at the end of April or mid-May things calm down, people could still come back. But I think it's unlikely based on what I see happening now. So that's why we're working on this possibility for you. This means that there is no real need for you, academically speaking, to stay on campus. And therefore, there's no need for you to wait around. You can pack, you can go, you will get the information, and we are continuing working hard here to get everything in place in the next couple of days together with the faculty to make sure all that functions properly. Of course, it will probably still take a week or two for everything to work as we would like it to work, but I think everybody with the right attitude and the right flexibility, we will be able to manage. Obviously, as I already said during our meeting on Tuesday, long distance learning does not lend itself very well for the seminar method, but we live in extraordinary times, and in extraordinary times we need to take extraordinary measures, and the most important is that you students can use your time as good as possible and be able to finish this semester. So as I wrote you, I will personally oversee that to make sure that this system gets into place. Now, a final word, and then I'll get you to ask questions if you have questions, and I will try to live answer them right away. I think there is no better time in history, in our generation, I would say. History is maybe a bit too much, but there's no better time in our generation, I think, than to show who we are as Christians and that we are directed by hope and not by fear. You have all seen we're surrounded by fear, by panic, and I think this is the time for us to show that we Christians live in hope. And it's in a way beautiful that in this time of crisis, you are returning to your countries and you are going to be a testimony to your communities, to your families, to this Christian hope. So in a way, you are being sent out as the apostles were sent out by Jesus. You are being sent out by the ITI to go into the world and to be that witness and to show that hope in this time of great crisis. And I think that's, in a way, out of this very difficult situation, a very beautiful thing for us to take home. And so I think that's the most important I would like to tell you at this moment. As I said at the beginning, I would like to regularly, probably once a week, or if there's anything more important, twice a week, put a little update live stream or by a YouTube video, just to keep you updated on what is going. And it's funny because in a way, through this crisis, some of you see the rector of the ITI probably more than you usually do during the semester when we're all busy running around. So I'm happy about that, and I hope that through these weeks, maybe months of great challenges, I hope that many graces will also come out of it and that it will all make us stronger. So, are there any questions? We'll give you a few moments to give questions. And by the way, if you don't have questions now and you have them later, you know how to reach us by email asking any questions.
I have one question.
One question, yes? Geddes is sitting with me here doing all the technical work. Thank you very much, Geddes. What's the question? Yes. For those students who have a residence visa, do we have to continue making insurance payments throughout the time we will be absent? That's an excellent question. I cannot answer it. I will have to ask Sebastian. I will make sure to forward it immediately to Sebastian, and he will answer you. I guess he will answer everybody of you whom is concerned by that point. So we'll take care of that, and you'll have an answer by tomorrow. Geddes, any more questions? Yes. How will online working work with time zones? Yes, I've been thinking about that too. Probably what we will do is we will look at two options. Obviously, I cannot ask professors to teach their class at a time like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. So probably what we will be doing is that those classes will be taught online at such a time. They will obviously be recorded, so you can review them later if because of your time zone you haven't been able. That in any case we will do. And then obviously in individual cases, and that the best way to go about that, and this is what we will ask the professors, is that they communicate individually with their students. For example, my class, I will be also teaching my class online later this month, and I will get in touch with my students and say, these are the times that we would have the course in Trumau. Is this time working for you, or should we look for another time? And basically that's what I will be asking all professors to do. So in some cases it might mean that a professor cannot change the time, and in that case you will have to come to the YouTube channel or whatever place it has been stored later and review it later. Or if the professor is able to change the time, then he will do that with the class. The questions are coming in, I'm very happy. The next one is, how soon can we determine how many students will now, after this latest information, be remaining on campus? Well, let me be very frank with you. I hope no students will remain on campus because, once again, you have heard the reasons, and I really am convinced that this is for your well-being and your safety that you should be doing this. Obviously, there are students who, for whatever very compelling and serious reasons, cannot leave at this time. These can be financial reasons, these can be family reasons, or maybe they can't even find a flight, etc. We understand that. We will not be throwing you out. That we will certainly not be doing. But obviously, we will keep a running list to see who is still on campus. So, Uri will keep that information. Our next question. What are students supposed to do who, for whatever good reasons, cannot go home? Yes, those students, excellent question. Those students simply need to follow the regulations that have been given by the Austrian government and do the work that they need to do for their classes. So they need to do the readings, they need to write their papers, they need to join in the online classes that are being offered, and they need, as any civilian living in Austria at this point, they need to strictly abide by the regulations that are being given. And in fact, the police is actually going to enforce it. As of tomorrow, you will find police checkpoints throughout the country, and this will go as far as police officers stopping you and saying, where are you going, and do you have a reason to go there? So that is to that question. The next question, do we have any way of confirming that Vienna airport will remain open during this week for us to fly home? I don't know. I have heard the rumor, but I cannot verify the rumor, but I've heard the rumor that the airport will be closed, but it's a rumor, so please don't take it as a fact. So once again, and this is also the reason why we immediately sent you that email. Please, if you are at all capable, leave as soon as possible to avoid not finding a flight or the airport being closed for your own sake. Next question. Will flat payments be suspended for the time being? Obviously, for the time that you are not in the flat, you will not pay for it. That I can tell you here. The next question. May students take the course materials with them as they leave? In fact, students have to take the course materials with them as they leave. You might remember that in the email that I sent you at the end of last week, I think I sent you that email on Friday, so my second information email, I explicitly wrote and asked you to please take your course materials home with you. The next one, library books for papers. Oh, that's a difficult question. Our librarian is currently returning from a trip, Oksana. She's actually not going to return to campus for the next 14 days. We're not aware that she has the virus, but as a safety precaution, she is going to be in self-isolation. So we'll have to ask her, and I will forward that question to her and make sure that she sends an email to the students answering that question. Great. Thesis question. What should students with library books do if they are still currently writing their thesis? Also, how and when to return books to the library? Yeah, that will go in the same question that I will forward to Oksana and make sure that she answers that question. Okay. Good. I'm very happy that this is working. This is a very good system to communicate with each other. It's just a pity that I don't see any of the students. I'm looking at myself. It's a bit boring. Next question. What about room checkouts? Yes, room checkouts. Let me revert that question to Juraj Mistina. Obviously, we would like to have the normal procedure for room checkouts. Could I please ask Juraj Mistina to prepare an email for the students answering that procedure? Will teachers be available for question asking? Also, will teachers make video explanations to better understand more complicated readings? Yes and yes. Teachers will be available for question asking. In fact, they have to be available for that. This is going to be part of the plan that we will be sending on to you. And the question is simply yes. And will teachers make video explanations? By all means, yes. Simply ask your professors. What I would like to ask you to do, dear students, is to communicate as much as possible directly with your professors in order to avoid messages not being answered in a timely manner or getting lost. The best is, on a class-by-class basis, to talk directly to your professors. We're all going to have a lot of time on our hands to organize ourselves in a different way, so it will be no problem for our professors to answer your questions, also by video. Next question. Somebody says, I am leaving Tuesday. Can I leave my library books with the RA? Yes, that is fine. You can leave it with the RA, just leave with a note with your name that when the RA brings it to the library or to Oksana, she knows from whom it comes. Good. If there are no more questions, then once again, the questions that I could not answer, I will make sure that they are being forwarded to the respective colleagues in the administration, and they will make sure that those questions will be answered very soon. What I would like to do at the conclusion of this live stream is I would like to encourage you. I would really like to encourage you in this difficult time. Once again, let's make this an opportunity to spread out in the world and spread out in the world with a message of hope amidst a world of fear. And what I would like to say is God bless to you, safe travels, and I hope to see you very soon on the next live stream. Thank you very much.
There was one more question.
I see there's one more question. Is there a deadline for leaving, or just as soon as we can organize it? We have not yet set a deadline for leaving. Indeed, you have to leave as soon as possible, but we will be forced to set a deadline if we see that people are dragging their feet. I'm not expecting anybody of you to drag their feet, but at this point we leave it to your personal responsibility to leave as soon as possible. I would say the deadline is the reality, and the reality is that more and more borders are closing, more and more airlines are completely stopping to fly. So your window of opportunity to leave this country is shrinking fast. So I would not hang around. I would really take the first opportunity you can to leave the country, because the window of opportunity is really shrinking very fast. So that will be my answer to your question. So once again, God bless to you. Thank you very much for listening and taking the time. Safe travels. Hope to see you soon. And I very much look forward to the day that we can once again assemble all in the Riley Hall and start again with this beautiful Sung Our Father that we did on Tuesday. I don't know how it was with you, but it deeply moved me that in this time of crisis we all joined together, and the first thing we did is we sang to our Lord. And it was a very powerful moment, and I look forward to repeating that soon when this crisis is over. But for now, please bring that powerful moment to your communities. Thank you very much.